how to get so rich that people think that you're in the Illuminati, or your friends think that you sold your soul to some shadow figure. So today we're basically going to be talking about how to basically make $1 million as quick as possible. So let me get my little trusty cloth over here because unfortunately my eraser broke. So we're going to basically be covering how to make $1 million, how to become $1 million person, and how to do it in the quickest time possible. So the first step in getting rich is the 3 W's, okay? So that's going to be what, it's going to be who, and it's going to be why, okay? So first thing I want to talk about is step 1, identifying what you want. So let's write a little bullet point here. What do you want? A lot of you guys want a generalized goal. A lot of you guys want to get rich. So if I were to ask a lot of you guys watching this video, what do you want? You're gonna say, I want money, I want a car, I wanna get rich, I wanna do this, I wanna do that. And if I asked you, well, how much money? You'd be like, oh no, $50 million? That's not a tangible goal in a realistic time frame that you can hit. Does that make sense? You guys want stuff, but you don't know what you want. You want money. How much money? You want a car. You want a sick supercar. What kind of car? What engine? What rims? Do you want a spoiler? Do you want a kit on it? Or do you just want some stock car? Do you see what I'm saying? You need to have a clear sign, a clear line of vision to what you want. Because most people want things, but they don't even know the specifics in what they want. There's details to it, right? So if I were to ask you, what do you want to eat? You're going to say, probably Italian. You can't just say, no, I want to eat Italian food. You have to say, I want a spaghetti bolognese with a glass of white wine on the side, olive oil and vinegar with freshly baked bread. That's what you fucking want. And you need to treat your what in order to get rich exactly like that. Because most people want things, but they don't actually know what they want, which is the biggest problem. So get specific, okay? Let's say your goal is, and this is what I've done personally. I broke down my dream life after expenses on what I need to afford, and it comes down to roughly $80,000 a month, and I've achieved that. So essentially, let's say your goal is 10K a month because you want enough to basically buy your mom. You don't really care. Maybe your family enjoys their job. They don't have to retire. You know, maybe you don't have a girlfriend, etc. But 10K a month profit after tax is what you're going for, okay? So your goal is $10,000 a month profit. Now, the thing is you have to get specific on why you want that or why you want to achieve it. So your goal is 10K a month. What goes into that? What goes into 10K a month, right? It's not just as simple as I want 10K a month. You have to get specific. So what are your monthly expenses and what are you going to be spending this 10K a month on so you know how to actually get there? Does that make sense? Break it down into first principle inputs. So like I said, you have to get specific with your goal. It could be $10,000, it could be $15,000, it could be $12,300 a month after expenses is what you need to live your dream life. You need to understand what you want and why you want it, which is what we're going to talk about. Your what, your who you need to become, and your why you want it. So the next step in actually getting rich is understanding your who. So basically getting rich all comes down to identity. Okay? That's the biggest truth, and your identity falls into 3 separate categories, which I'm going to touch on right now. But getting rich literally plays into your identity, okay? You are where you are because you are who you are. And there's no such thing as getting different results without becoming a new person. And that is the biggest and hardest pill to swallow that you're ever going to come across in this whole online money business space, okay? Your identity is fully responsible. You're exactly where you deserve to be because your identity is that of such. So your identity plays into 3 little subcategories. That's going to be your beliefs, your habits, and your work. Okay? Now, the biggest thing when it comes into who, I would argue that the who is the biggest step in actually getting rich. But the thing is that all of these need to be congruent. Okay? So a good analogy I like to use, imagine if you're going to the gym. Imagine if you're going to the gym and you want to get jacked, but you're going to the gym for 6 hours a day and you want to become the next IFBB pro amazing bodybuilder. Let's say you're going to the gym for 6 hours every single day. You could go for 6 hours a day, and you could be doing all the right workouts. But if you are not doing the right form, then the sets and the reps, then the time you're putting into the gym is meaningless because you're not going to be gaining the muscle. You could be benching, but you could be using straps. I don't know if you guys are very gym bros, whatever, but you could be using straps. You could be doing this. You could be curling your dumbbells like this for all I know. But do you see what I'm saying? Just because you're going in and putting in the work does not mean that that work is going to work. Okay? So imagine it like a bucket. I talked about this in the last video. Imagine it like a bucket. If you have a hose and your water is flooding out of it, that hose is you, the water is the inputs and the work that it's just flooding out. But your bucket is not right and there's a couple holes in the bottom, you're never gonna be able to fill up that bucket. So the work, the effort, the inputs, the scaling, the business, anything is meaningless if you do not adopt this identity that you need to become. Okay, a lot of people think that, for example, you have to go through a metamorphosis phase, like a caterpillar. Your perception on becoming this new person is essentially, oh, a caterpillar becomes a butterfly by crawling faster. That's not the case. That is not the case. It must become a new species, a new animal, to actually get new things like abilities, like flight. And in this case, 10K a month, okay? So your beliefs. What do you believe? Why do you believe it? What do you want to believe and what do you actually believe? There's a large discrepancy between what you want to believe and what you actually believe, okay? You need to understand the difference between the two. And you need to get real with yourself. Because a lot of you guys, you are stuck in the whole egocentric mindset of, well, I believe I'm, all right, realistically, some of you guys probably think you're ugly and some of you guys think you're hot. Do you want to believe you're ugly? Do you want to believe you're hot? Do you actually believe you're hot? A lot of you, like that's his problem. Like that's why, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go there. That's why fat people, they have biases because they're not gonna sit there and say, you know what, I am fat. They want to believe that they're not fat, but they actually believe they are fat, but they're stuck and they're not actually believing something. Does that make sense? So let me digress here. There's a difference between what you want to believe and what you actually believe. And the discrepancy between the two comes into your habits and your work, okay? So, for example, what you want to believe about yourself would be simply all self-serving, positive, high ROI beliefs. Like, I'm a hard worker, I make a lot of money, I'm a millionaire, I'm a seasoned entrepreneur, I know what I'm doing. But do you actually believe that? Because if you don't actually believe that, then it's meaningless. You could just say all these things, but an affirmation without the action is nothing, okay? So, what you want to believe and what you actually believe are very different. Now, you want to turn your wants into actualizations. And the way you actualize that is through the habits and the work. So your actions cannot conflict with your identity, nor can they conflict with your beliefs. Understand that. So if you want to believe something, your habits, which is essentially goes into your identity, has to be such, okay? You cannot want to believe that you can want to believe that you work hard and that you make a lot of money. In order to actually believe that, you need to actualize it. So you have to go and work hard and end up making a lot of money, but adopt the habits and the work of this person that's making a lot of money. Does that make sense? So identify, just to cover, identify what you want, identify who you need to become to get what you want, and what plays into that, what belief systems, what habits, what work you need to become this 10K a month version of yourself. And the best way to do that is by breaking it down into inputs. Like I said, habits and work. So we're just gonna do this, okay? So it's inputs. You guys are not where you are because of your inputs. Obviously, like if you did every single thing that Cristiano Ronaldo did in his life, you'd be Cristiano Ronaldo. All right. If I had fucking wheels, I'd be a bike. All right. So you guys got to throw some, if you want to be a bike, then respect to you. It's 2025, but you got to put some fucking wheels on you and get to rolling, bro. Do you see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it comes down to your inputs, and your inputs are not of that of a 10K a month person. Does that make sense? So that's the second step, is becoming who you need to become. So your inputs basically break down everything, and you need to adopt the beliefs, the habits, the work, and the inputs of the person that you want to become. The next step is why, and arguably the most important. The reason why most people fail, failure, is because they all have a self-serving why. Now that's the biggest problem I've seen with so many entrepreneurs. The reason they fail is because they all focus on a self-serving why. Now, you can get to 10K a month, you can get to 20K a month, but I'm sure none of you guys are gonna settle until you have $1 million liquid cash in the bank, like me, which is why I'm making this video. So failure is in direct correlation to only having a self-serving why. Now, you need to understand, why do you want it? Okay, let me take my eraser because I need to actually erase this. So you need to understand why you want it. You need to go deep. You need to first principle that shit. You need to ask why until you can't ask why anymore. So let's say your goal is 10K a month, right? 10K a month. This is your goal. So we're gonna go why. Number one, okay? Why number one would be so I can make money, okay? Well, number two, why do you want money? Let me just do question marks. So why do you want money? So I can spend it on cool things? Or it could be maybe I want to spend it on the people around me and retire my parents or buy them gifts. Now, why do you want to buy them gifts or why do you want to buy cool things? Let's say you want to buy a Lamborghini. Okay, so your third why is I want to buy a Lamborghini. Why do you want a Lamborghini? Now, you could just be a freaking car guy who loves cars and it's his favorite dream car. Or, now there's obviously a lot of discrepancies here. You can go and do this on your own accord, on your own time, do your own due diligence about yourself and your identity. But let's say, why do you want a Lamborghini? Oh, because I want to impress people. I want to get validation. Okay, well, why do you need validation? Does that make sense? Why do you need validation? Now, we're 4 whys deep in now. Why do you need validation? Maybe it's because your parents didn't give you enough validation when you were a child. And that's why you need validation from third-party external sources, because you didn't get enough and you don't feel proud enough about yourself. Now, I've done my due diligence here, and I'm going to get very personal with you guys, okay? This is something I've never shared on this channel before. I personally think that I had an okay childhood. It was very rough in specific years, and we had up until I was 8 years old. It was pretty good. It was like a American dream childhood. But then it kind of all crumbled down right in front of my eyes, and my life went to shite, basically. So my why personally is a couple things. One, like I said, you're never going to pass 10, 20, 30K a month if you can go there, but you're not going to pass it unless you have something bigger than yourself to strive for. So me personally, I have a bigger why than myself now, which is why I've hit 7 figures, okay? So my why at the start was buying cool things, impressing people on social media. That's why I stopped going on my main YouTube channel and doing all those vlogs, is because I just want to give value now. I want to help people because this is what has changed my life. Another why for me is my girlfriend. I got to pay for things. Obviously it's not like I'm buying her a Birkin bag every day, but at the end of the day, yeah, I do want more financial stability, and having a whole nother person to pay for doubles my expenses, which is good because I get to push harder. And I know that it's a good thing to do. You got to provide, you know? Third is I want to prove myself to people. I don't think that I get my stripes. I don't think that I've earned my stripes, and I feel like people look at me, and I don't talk about my age on this channel. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am. If you care enough, do your research, but I don't tell people how old I am because I feel like it might discredit me, and that's a limiting belief about myself. Now, I don't take pride in that, but I'm being honest with you guys, okay? So I feel a need to outwork everything. I think the only solution is work. I don't rest whatsoever. To essentially summarize why I work so hard, I'm basically chasing proof that I am who I say I am, okay? If that makes sense. Like I'm always outrunning. I hate uncertainty, and I'm very insecure, and when I'm unsure, I dislike that. So to get very personal with you guys, my why is all of those above, but because life is uncertain and I don't like that. I didn't have much control growing up. I didn't have control about what was going on with my parents, what was going on at my schools, what was going on. I didn't have any control. Now that's deep rooted in me as a person, in my soul, and I understand that. Now I chase that sense of control through business. Now I don't control people around me, which is a really bad path that people can go down if they had a similar childhood to me, but that is my why, okay? It's very uncertain, and I like certainty, which is why I'm in business. So you guys need to break down your whys. You need to break down your whos and your whats, because without them, you are lost, okay? Now, that's the biggest thing, is people want things, but they don't know what they want, and they're not clear on why they freaking want it. The next step in actually getting rich, we understand what we want. So let's say it's 10K a month just as this general goal. Let's say you understand what you want, what is 10K a month. The first step, okay? The first step in actually hitting this goal is stop chasing, okay? You need to stop chasing this goal. If you chase, it will run away. It is chasing butterflies. It is like it's like putting two magnets together on both positive sides. They're not gonna connect. Now, the best way I can explain this is basically creating something called excess potential, okay? I'm gonna get into this. You are creating excess potential towards this goal of hitting 10K a month. Oh, that's the wrong arrow. So you're creating excess potential towards this goal of 10K a month, and the best way to explain it is like this. Here's two examples. Scenario one, let me move my cord out the way. Scenario one, okay, this is you, and you're standing on flat ground. Now, would you be scared to stand on a flat piece of grass? Probably not, dude. you're probably pretty sure that you're not going to fall over. You're not going to be shaking. Your legs aren't going to be bent. Your heart's not going to be pumping. I'm doing that now. Do I look scared? No, because I'm standing on a flat floor. Now, the second scenario is this is you, and you are standing on the edge of a cliff. Okay? There's a bunch of spiky rocks down here. Now, if you guys can see this, hopefully, here's you. In the second scenario, this goes into stop chasing. Now you're standing on the edge of a cliff. That is excess potential. So obviously, this rocks down here, these spiky rocks, would be failure. And you're creating excess potential on the situation given that the circumstances, internal and external, haven't changed a bit. Understand? So why can't you just vision this is what attracting looks like, and this is what chasing looks like? Do you want to be standing on a cliff? No, you don't. So the reason is these are the exact same situation, right? They're both standing on flat floors. They're both standing on grass. They've stood all their life. They have both working legs. But why is this guy all scared? Why is his heart pumping and why are his knees shaking? It's because there's excess potential of failure here. Failure cannot be an option. You need to completely eliminate all of your excess potential towards what you want to achieve, right? If you're constantly thinking of negatives, limiting beliefs, what's going to happen if you don't succeed? What's going to happen if it does work out? So that's the biggest problem, is that most people are stuck out here trying to chase what they want. And the way that you attract what you want is by simply becoming this person. So this guy is at $0 a month. We're just going to write 0M. This guy is at 10K a month, 10K a month, okay? So the way that you hit 10K a month is by becoming this guy. And the way that you attract it is by simply adopting the identity, which is kind of what we talked about. Identity. I need a new marker because this one is running out. But you guys understand the gist of what I'm saying. You need to become who you want to be who you want to become. Okay? You cannot become to be, you simply need to be. Does that make sense? That's going to sound pretty woo-woo, pretty out there. You have to be in order to become. You cannot become to be. You must be the millionaire before you are the millionaire. And this is going to play into absolutely everything in your life. All of your inputs, your whats, your whys, your whos, your wheres, your whens. You need to understand what you want, why you want it. You need to break that down into day-to-day actionables. I want $10,000 a month. I want to become this $10,000 a month version of myself. What are my $10,000 a month habits? What are my $10,000 a month belief systems about myself, which is the most important part? What do I perceive the world to be? Because whatever you perceive reality to be is true in your own world, okay? If I perceive that making YouTube videos is easy and it doesn't take a lot of effort, then it's gonna be easy and I don't think it's gonna be a lot of effort. But if I make an excess potential and I think, oh, it's so hard, oh my God, I'm not gonna wanna record a YouTube video. But if I have the belief system, which I love this shit, I live for this shit, it's awesome and I get to help people for free. That is why I do it. That's why it's a lot easier, okay? So that's the gist on how you get rich. You go very quick. All right, all your friends are going to be thinking that you sold your soul or something. You signed some record deal. Maybe you're tapped in with the Illuminati. Who knows? All right, drop a subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you found it valuable. If you want to work one-on-one with me, there's going to be the first link in the description or not. I don't care. Remember, stay on the grind. I'm dropping videos every 3 days. Take care.